Aloha and welcome. In this class, we're going to be talking about class customization. And I want to start by going immediately into code. And I want to take a look at something here. So we'll make a class called person. And we're just going to leave it kind of bare bones here. And we're going to just put in dunder init for setting everything up. And we'll just set, let's say, age. Self.age equals 0 because we're born with no age, and we'll say self.name equals, we should probably put in a name. So let's just say name and go up here and have that sent in as a, actually right here, send that in as a parameter. So we'll do this simply. Now, what do we get for creating a class? What kind of dunder functions come with this? Well, let's take a look. We're going to print here the dir of person and see what that gives us. It gives us a bunch of stuff here. So you see we get all these dunder functions with it, and init is one of them, but it has all these other dunder functions. And these dunder functions are called special method names. So we can actually override these functions. We can go ahead and put in our own functions to override these. And that's really neat for things like string. String is the function that is called when you go to print out your thing. So if we want to print person, and oh, actually, we don't have a person yet. I'll make one called John. So let's go and say John equals person. And then when we do that, oh, we need to send a name, don't we? And it would be nice if we named him logically John. So we go over here, we run it. And what does it give us? It gives us this very cryptic printout here when we try to print John. Well, we can make this a little bit more user-friendly. So we can come in here and we can define that string function. So we can put in our string function here. And as always, we put in self. And we're going to return a value here that's a little bit more readable. So we're going to do something like, let's say, person's name. Let's see if I can get this. Yeah, we're going to try person. And then we have to do the little, oh wait, hold on. We have to do a backslash here. So we're going to do person's name is, and we put in curly braces, their name, which is going to be self.name. And what we have to do, there's something called escaping that we've talked about. So you have to escape the character of the apostrophe here with a backslash. And that will tell it ignore the next character. So we do that, and then at the end of our string, we end it with our single quote. So what's going to happen is when we call on print next, instead of printing out that beautiful main person object at blah, blah, blah memory address, it's going to return something a little bit more user-friendly. So if we run it again, boom, it says person's name is John. That looks nice. I like this better already. So you can override these functions. And one thing that we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the rich comparison methods, because if you look in here, you see GT, you see NE, you see LT. Well, I'm going to give you a hint. Those are your greater than, not equal, less than or equal, greater than or equal, and equal operators. So we can actually override these things. So we can, it's called overloading. So we can overload these rich comparison methods and make it do what we want. So we can define what it means to be greater than when you're talking about a person. So if we're going to do this, we're going to say, let's say less than, and we will set up less than. We're going to have self as the first one. So it'll send self, but then we need the other thing that we're going to compare it to. So this is rather important. So then we get into our definition. We're going to say, okay, in order for self, or in order for something to be greater than the other one, we're going to have to look at their name, and we're going to say that greater than really is just talking about the name, whether somebody's name is greater than the other one. So we start off here saying if self.name is greater than other. Actually, we're doing a less than here, aren't we? I meant to do greater than. So let's say greater than. If self.name is greater than other.name, then, oops, hold on. Other.name, then we're going to return, wait, so greater than, if it's yes, then we're going to return true. Else, oops, else we are going to return false. And if I could just type. So does that sound right? So for greater than, the thing on the left is going to be bound to self. So we're going to have self is greater than other, then it's true, else it's going to be false. So it's going to be taking name, it's going to be doing a text comparison on that, and that should work. So now what we're going to do is we're going to come down here, we're going to define Bob. So Bob equals person, and he's going to have the name Bob. So then we are going to take a look at whether or not John is greater than Bob. Should John be greater than Bob? That's a good question. Well, let's run and see what happens. Yes, John is greater than Bob. Why is that? Because John is defined with name John up here. Bob is defined as having name Bob, and the letter J comes before B. So right after it sees that, it's going to return true. Else it's going to be false. Let's come up with Adam. So Adam equals person of Adam. And now let's see if print Adam is greater than John. And we expect this to return false. And indeed, it does return false. Notice that if we do something that we haven't defined yet, let's say we're trying to say less than, but we haven't defined one. So if we try to do that, well, we actually do get the true for that one. But we can go in here and override that one as well if we wanted to do less than. And less than would be LT. So there's a number of these rich comparison methods that we can do, and I'm going to come up here and put them into our notes. So we can override less than, or overload. We can overload less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, or not equal to. So these are the different things that we can do. So if we try to do, let's say instead of that, we're trying to say equal. Are they equal? Run it, and it's false. So it's doing these automatically. We can override those though by saying, let's say we're going to do a special case of equal, and that special case is going to be we don't care about case. How's that? We don't care if one is capitalized versus another thing. So let's say here we're going to check, and we're going to say if self dot name dot upper, upper equals other dot name dot upper, then we will return true, else we're going to return false. And we're going to go down here and let's create a little, little, and notice I've been ignoring my rules. For variable names, you don't want to start them with capitals, but since I'm talking about people here, I've kind of been using capitals, and that's not the best way of doing it. We'll just call this little Adam, and little Adam is going to be person, but spelled with lowercase Adam. So normally, this would be treated, actually, let's go ahead and remove this just for a second. I'm going to cut it out. And then what I want to do is I want to compare the two and see if, hold on, down here we'll say print Adam equals little Adam. For some reason, my system is chugging along here, but we're going to print that out and see what happens. And it's going to say false. They're not equal. And of course, we know why, because a lowercase and a capital case A are treated differently. So because they're treated differently, they are not equal. But if we do override with this new equality thing, where we're going to just do an upper on them before we do the comparison, then we run it, you're going to see that it's true now. So now when we compare the two, it's true because we've done an overload of that function. So we can redefine what it means to be equal, greater than, less than, or everything else. So that's all from overloading these rich comparison methods. So this is really useful, redefining these functions that are in there. I'll leave it as a challenge to you to go in here, set up a new class, then do a directory on that class just to see what kind of functions you get, and then look up the different functions, see what they do, and see how you can overload them yourself, and give that a try. And it's pretty interesting, but this is really useful when you're trying to really define what it means to be whatever your class is. You can override the things like your printing function and other common operations. So give that a try, play around with it in something like VS Code or the interpreter, and let me know how that goes. If you have any trouble, give me a shout out in email or send me an email and ask for a Zoom meet, and I'll be happy to meet up with you and go over any problems that you're having. So I will see you in the next lesson. Aloha.